Hey, this is John of Smart Edition, and today I'm really excited to bring this video, which is going to be all the FAQs for the Hesi A2 test that Smart Edition has ever received from any of our students who are using our study guides or our online courses, and people who are in our Facebook group. We see the same questions coming up over and over again, so we're going to answer all those questions so that you don't have to go searching all over the internet and different places to try and get your questions answered. It's all going to be in this video, or if you have any questions that you don't see in this video, leave a comment below. We will reply to you and we will answer your question, and we'll make sure that we put it into any other videos that we're making for the Hesi A2 test. Speaking of that, we have a lot of videos coming out for the Hesi A2. We have a list about a mile long, and those are going to be coming out really soon. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell so that you get notifications on all those videos when they come out, because they are definitely going to help you guys out a lot. Before we get into those FAQs, check out the links in the description. There's going to be a few different links. There's a link to our Facebook group, really awesome community of people who are taking the test, preparing for it, have the same questions or working with the same material. Just an awesome place. So check out that Facebook group. We have a free practice test below. That's going to help you guys out a lot. It's going to give you a scored report that helps identify your strengths and weaknesses and sets you off on the right path to studying. So check that out. You can find stuff on Pinterest from Smart Edition, cheat sheets, things like that. And if you need more help studying for the Hesi A2, we also have an online course that has 100 videos, lots of practice tests, flashcards, lesson modules, everything that you would really need to prepare for the test, practice test packs. We have a study guide, pretty much everything you need, and all of those are in the links below, so check that out. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. Here are the FAQs that we see the most. What is the Hesi A2 test? Right? Before you even get into it, we want to know that. So the Hesi A2 is a nationally recognized pre-admissions test for nursing students and allied health professional programs. So that's things like dental hygienists or other things that are kind of in the healthcare industry. The test is administered by Elsevier. They're the company that actually creates the test, and programs use this they utilize the tests and the scores to determine what subjects you're stronger in, whether that's science or math, and whether or not you're a good fit for their program. So they want to see you do well on this program, and what that is an indicator of how well you will actually do in that school's program. So they don't want to set you up to fail, and honestly, you don't want to set yourself up to fail either. If they didn't have tests like these and they just let anybody go into these programs, what you would have is a lot of people who fail out of the first and second semesters. Those are the most difficult semesters, and they purposely make it difficult so that they can start to weed out people who aren't going to be able to finish the rest of the program. And what happens when you end up dropping out of the first or second semester? You waste a lot of money. You signed the contract for those student loans. You already paid for that semester. Guess what? You're not getting your money back. The other thing is you're likely to have to take the NCLEX after this. And this is another thing where it's like, you need to know this stuff. If you ever think you're going to take the NCLEX, you got to do well on the Hesi A2. So that's kind of about the test. Let's go over the other most frequently asked questions that we get, which is how many questions are in each section and what are those sections? So what you're going to see on this test is several sections, and those sections include mathematics. You're going to have 50 questions in 50 minutes. Reading comprehension, 47 questions in 60 minutes. Vocabulary is 50 questions in 50 minutes. Grammar, 50 questions in 50 minutes. Biology, 25 questions in 25 minutes. Anatomy and physiology, 25 questions in 25 minutes. Physics, 25 questions in 25 minutes. So those are all your subject areas and how long those are. If you want to know in detail what's in each of those sections, we have other videos. So check out our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. You'll see videos there for grammar and math and science. And we do a really deep dive. But those are 10 or 15-minute videos, so we're not going to cover that here, but check those out. How much does the Hesi A2 cost? So the cost for taking the Hesi A2 can range from anywhere between $35 and $70, and you might even see outliers beyond that. And the cost will really vary depending on your school's program. So you want to check with them to confirm the cost with your school. Where do I take the Hesi A2 test? Most tests are given at schools, and that can either be at that school's testing center, or some also have testing centers that they will use off campus. And then now more often you're seeing people being able to take the test remotely. One of the proctoring companies is called ProctorU, and they allow you to take the test at home. So again, check with your school, see what they allow for and whether they're testing on campus or off campus, and they'll be able to give you more information on where you will take the test. What is a passing score for the Hesi A2? So there is no uniform passing score. Again, this really depends on your school, but many programs will have a minimum passing score, and that's what you need to achieve in order to even be considered and have your application considered. And then from there, schools will typically take other things into account, and they're really going to be looking for the highest score. So if other people have higher scores than you, it's likely that they will be considered first. Most schools do not require all subjects. I would say most schools really don't require all of them. You may run into some that do, but make sure you check with your school, because we went over all of those sections on the Hesi A2. It's likely you don't have to take all of them. So check with your school to know which ones you do and don't have to take. It's also not uncommon for there to be score requirements for certain sections versus the overall test score. So a lot of schools might require to see, at least a 75% on math, or maybe an 80% on science, or a composite score of 82, whatever it is. But the overall composite score, the total score, and the individual subject scores might have requirements for each of those. So look out for that. And again, just make sure that your school, they should let you know what you should be looking for there. Can I retake the Hesi? Yes, you can retake the Hesi. In fact, it's encouraged to do that if you think that you can be getting a higher score, you're not happy with the first score that you got. However, every program and every school is going to have some different restrictions and requirements on how many times you can take the test and how much time you might need to wait in between taking the test. So you might see schools say, you can take 3 retakes, but you have to wait 30, 45, 60 days in between those retakes. Or some schools may only accept 1 score per application period. So, that would basically, essentially, you could only take it twice in a year. So the best thing you can do, again, is just check with your school, check with your program, and they'll be able to let you know what their requirements are, what their restrictions are on retaking the Hesi A2. How long does it take to get my results? So you're going to get the scores immediately upon completion of each section of the test. And then at the end, you'll get your cumulative score for the overall test, which is the average of all those individual sections. And then once you have taken the test, you can always log into your Elsevier account at any time to see your results again. So what's the best way to study for the test? We have videos that go really in detail on the best way to study for the test. It's, our number 1 strategy to do that. We have a video on that, and then different like study schedules and things like that. There's other videos. Those are kind of more in-depth topics, but the long and short of it is, one of the best ways to prepare is to start with a diagnostic practice test. I mentioned there's a link below to our free practice test. That's a great place to start. And what it's going to do is give you a scored report that helps you identify your strengths and your weaknesses, and not just your strength or your weakness is math or science. At least our practice test tells you the exact topics within math or science. So if you see that you got all the cardiovascular system questions wrong, you know that you need to spend more time on that. Or if you got, fractions, a lot of those questions wrong in the practice test, well, now this is what I need to spend the most time on. And so that's one of the best ways to start and get an idea of where you should start spending most of your time. So we offer that free practice test in the link below. And then we also suggest that you buy a good study guide or an online course. Look, it doesn't have to be from Smart Edition, but we do highly suggest that you do that. There's a lot of other resources. Some of them are a little more questionable. There's things like Quizlets out there, or files that you might see in other Facebook groups, and they're going to say, these are the exact questions that are on the test. Do not do that. That is such a bad strategy. And the reason why is that there are multiple versions of the test, and those versions actually change periodically throughout the year. So if you are studying just memorizing questions and expecting that to be on your version of the test, you might not get any of those questions. and you're dead in the water. You just flunked your test, and now you have to rethink your whole life. Am I still trying to go to nursing school, and am I going to take this test again? Do I have to get a whole nother career? So it's just not worth it. Just take the time to invest in a good study guide, a good online course. Smart Edition Academy has you covered there. And then there are other good options on YouTube, Khan Academy, lots of other places, reputable places where you can get good study resources. So check that out. But again, those are going to be a couple things. There are other videos that we have that go much deeper into this topic of what's the best way to study. So check those out. How long are my scores good for? After taking the test, your scores are good for 24 months to submit with your application to your program or school. So you have a full 2 years. So if you're happy with your score, if something comes up in your life that you thought you were going to go to school in the fall, but now you can't, you can hold on to those scores for up to 2 years. Will there be a calculator? Yes, you will be able to use a calculator on the test. You don't need to bring one. That calculator will be provided to you on the screen when you're taking it on a computer, and it's going to be a 4-function calculator. So that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So it's kind of a basic calculator, but you will have one provided to you. Can I go back to a question on the test? Yes, you can go back to a question and you can flag a question to return to it. However, you can only do this for the section that you are in. Once you complete a section, you cannot go back to it. Your score is given to you, that's final, it's said and done. So just before you finish each section, make sure if there was any question you wanted to go back to, make sure and do it there, but you can't do it once you've gone to another section. What order will the subsections or the sections of the test be given in? And the answer to that is you can take them in whatever order you want. So in the start of the test, there will be a list of each section that you're required to take for your school. And you can start with any section you want. You can take them in any order that you want. But we do recommend that it's not a bad idea to have a plan for how you want to move through those sections. And if you're doing a lot of practice tests, and we highly, highly suggest that, not just our free practice tests, but anywhere you can find practice tests. And of course, our online courses have, I think there's 5 practice tests in there. So when you're doing those practice tests, if you want to try and get like a rhythm and a flow that you know what your best subjects are, whether that's science or grammar, that you might want to knock those out. Or maybe even better is tackle the sections that you think are going to be the hardest or the longest first. And so that way, when you get to the shorter sections or the sections that you're a lot stronger in, you're going to not have as much mental, or you're going to have a lot of mental fatigue. You're going to be tired. Your brain's going to start to hurt a little bit. So save the sections that you're most comfortable with for the end, or the sections that are the shortest, because we've seen people go through those, 50 question sections. It's the last one, the brain busters, and they're just like, brain is fried. So that's not always the best strategy. Now, you don't have to do something like that, but it's a good idea, and it could help you, really perform better towards the end of your test if you're doing something like that. How do I register for the Hesi A2? So you go to the Evolve main website and you choose I'm a student, and you register for distance learning, and you'll be able to go through the whole checkout process and register for the exam there. Once you get onto the website, everything's going to be pretty self-explanatory, but the main thing is to go to the Evolve main website. That's the Elsevier Evolve main website, and you'll see everything there that you need to do. You can also check with your school and your program. They might have other specific instructions for you, but definitely going to the Elsevier site is a good start. So how is the Hesi A2 test scored? So you will receive individual scores for each subject area based on a percentage system, as well as an overall cumulative score for all sections. And that's going to be the average of those individual subject area scores. And your scores are calculated by taking the number of questions that you answered correctly and dividing it by the total number of questions. So for each section, you'll have an individual score, and then you'll have your cumulative score. And again, some schools are looking for some of those science sections or the math sections to be higher, and they might even weight those a little bit more. Depends on your school, but be conscious of that. But that's how the test is scored. Can I share my scores with other schools? Yes, you definitely can. Once you receive your score, you can share the score with any program you're applying to, and that includes multiple schools if you want. There is a link, maybe we'll put it in the description below, or you can go to the Elsevier site, or on our website. We also have a all these frequently asked questions on our Hesi A2 page. So there is a link in there to where you would need to go to make that request to have your transcripts sent out. And that's it. That is all the FAQ that we have gotten. If you've seen some, or if you have a question that was not in this video, drop it in the comments below. We will reply to that and try and help you out. And we'll make sure that we include that in our website FAQ and in any future videos. So thanks a lot, guys, and good luck on the test.